Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome friends. Today let's discuss tablet manufacturing. We have covered and we know about tablet basics and what are the processing of in the compaction and consolidation and how the tablet production is taking place. In the same discussion, let's take our discussion for the a special level of manufacturing technique, that is pelletization. After completing this lecture, you will be able to come to know about the pellets, pelletization techniques, and various methods of pelletization. We will cover pellets, introduce it to you, methods of pelletization, and the equipments. Friends, pellets. Pellets are actually a variety of agglomerates. They form diverse raw materials. They are from they are produced from diverse raw materials and by with the help of a variety of equipments, manufacturing equipments. Actually, they are small free flowing spherical particles, and they are manufactured by the agglomeration of the powders or granules of drug substances and excipients. These pellets are described as small rods with aspect ratios of close to unity. Pellets offer a high degree of flexibility in the design and development of oral dosage forms. They can be divided into desired dose strengths without formulation or process change. Yes, it can be prepared for having divided desired doses. They can be blended to deliver incompatible bioactive agents simultaneously, or they can also be used to provide different release profiles at the same or different sites in the gastrointestinal tract, that is GIT. We can have different release profiles with the help of pellets. So this is the beauty of using the pellets. Now pellets, when they are taken orally, they disperse freely in the gastrointestinal tract, and being smaller in size, they maximize the drug absorption, and there is minimization of local irritation of the gastric mucosa or that local mucosa by any kind of certain or you can say any kind of irritant drug. They reduce inter and interpatient variability. The absorption will be quite uniform. Pelletization processes may be of several types. We have discussed a little bit about the pelletization in our previous lecture also, but powder layering, solution suspension layering, extrusion spheronization, spherical agglomeration or balling, spray congealing or drying, cryopelletization, and melt spheronization are these major pelletization techniques. Now taking the first technique, powder layering. It involves the deposition of successive layers of dry powders of drug or excipient or both on preformed nuclei or cores with the help of binding liquid. Because powder layering involves the simultaneous application of the binding liquid and dry powder. Generally, it requires special equipment. In powder layering, product container should have solid walls with no perforations. First equipment used was the conventional coating pan. It was initially coating pan, which we will be discussing in coating also. Elliptical pans tend to have fewer stagnant spots than the cylindrical pan. Consequently, reducing the tilt angle, reducing that tilt angle can also minimize formation of dead spots. So because the coating pan is tilted in a particular angle, say for example this is the pan, okay, and this pan is in coating pan, it is in generally in a certain angle. So if you reduce this angle like this, higher angle is there, and if reduce it this if you are reducing this angle, we can minimize the formation of dead spots. It's more of a towards the horizontal scale. Okay, if the rotational speed of the pan is too slow, the segregation may occur. So by this way, the powder layering is done in the cooking pan, but the prolonged contact time among the particles could favor the particle agglomeration, because we are reducing the dead spots. Okay, binding solution and a finely milled powder are added simultaneously to a bed of starter seeds at a controlled rate, just like a coating, in which we will discuss coating. In the initial stage, the drug particles are bound to the starter seeds. Drug particles are bound to the starter seeds, and subsequently, what happens to the forming the pellets with the help of they form with the help of liquid bridges originated from the sprayed liquid. But the sprayed liquid forms the liquid bridges, and these pellets are formed. This is a simple way of powder layering technique. These liquid bridges are eventually replaced by solid bridges derived either from a binder in the application medium or from any material. Successive layering of the drug and binder solution continues until the desired pellet size is received. Until you are having the desired pellet size, the successive layering is kept on to deliver the powder accurately at a predetermined rate and in a manner that maintains equilibrium between the binder liquid application rate and the powder delivery. Powder is being delivered and liquid application, so you have to control both the application rates. Okay. The rheological properties of the binding liquid and the liquid application rate and the drying air temperature should be optimized. The powder should be delivered at a rate that maintains a balance between the surface wetness of the cores and powder adhesion. Okay, have you got my point? That the powder, I am again repeating this thing, that powder should be delivered at a rate that maintains the balance. The balance is to be maintained between the surface wetness of the cores and powder adhesion. If the product bed temperature is high, powder is lost to the exhaust system. If it is too low, it leads to agglomeration and or the formation of new nuclei that serve as cores for further layering. So you can say that we must have an optimum bed temperature. As you can see that what we are seeing here in this diagram, that this fluidized air is coming in this diagram, and pellet's bed is like this, and this by this nozzle that spraying is being done. Okay, and what is happening, that this air is entering here through from the bottom. Okay, this is the adjustable rotary disc here. So this is a single walled product chamber, and it's a GLAT model actually. So this granulator works, and the nozzle, the portion of nozzle may be different in the different kind of granulator, granulator A and granulator B. If you can see here, okay, in this granulator, in the different granulator, the location of nozzle on the spraying nozzle is different. Okay, so either you can keep the fixed height rotary disc, or you can keep that fixed nozzle one. Okay, so this was about the centrifugal fluid bed equipment and the process with a single walled product chamber. Now palletization with the help of solution and suspension layering. Booster coating process there we have discussed also when we were discussing the fluidized bed drying, or fluidized, that rapid, when we were discussing the mixing granulator, it was invented about 30 years ago. The cylindrical partition located in the product chamber and the centrifuge and the configuration of the air distribution plate, also known as the orifice plate. There is the orifice plate. Perforated plate is there, and the air enters from the bottom. The latter is conferred to allow most of the fluidization or drying air to pass at a very high velocity around the, drying air is coming from the bottom at a very high space. Okay, this perforation there, high velocity is entering around the nozzle and through the partition, carrying with it particles that are being layered on. So the powder, you can say powder layering is being done with the help of this Wooster process. WURSTER. Remember this, the name of the process. Once the particle exit this partition exit, they enter the expansion chamber. Okay, here the velocity of the air is reduced below the entrainment velocity. The particles fall back in the area surrounding the partition, referred to as the down bed. The down bed is kept aerated. Again, it is aerated by the small fraction of air that passes through the small holes of the periphery of the orifice plate, and this process continues. That is called Wooster process. Okay. At a given load size, fluidization air volume, the partition height can be reduced or increased to provide either a well-controlled particle motion. It produces the desired pallet movement or a bubbling down bed. Now, this positioning is very important, which leads to disorganized particle movement and inefficient process. So pallet movement can be governed by controlling the partition height. Okay, it can be reduced or increased. Now we move to the let's discuss some disadvantages of the Wooster process. First is the inaccessibility of the nozzles. If the nozzles are clogged, at any time during the layering process, the operation has to be interrupted, and the spray guns must be removed for cleaning. Multiple nozzles are used. They can potentially overlap of adjacent spray zones. If you will be using multiple spray guns, say for example, so what is happening? The spray produced by the gun 1 will be overlapped by the spray produced by the spray gun 2, and so on. So some areas will be overweighted while others will be normal weighted. So this difference will be there in the formation of palletization. The solution suspension layering is usually used when the desired drag loading of the pallet is low, because production of high potency pallets from a low solid content formulation is not economically feasible. It is not economically feasible. Now take this example. As you can see in this figure, that this is a schematic representation of the Wooster product chamber and the process. This product chamber. So This is the product chamber. As you can see, this is the product chamber. Okay, this is the this B. As you can see, this is the partition chamber, and C is the orifice plate. D is nozzle. This is the nozzle here, and the expansion chamber. So this is the orifice. You can see air distribution, air distributor or orifice plate, or the Worcester coater of a Worcester coater. But the air enters from bottom through these orifices. So these are the major elements of the pelletization through this process, Worcester process. Now, extrusion spheroidization is another technique. The technology is unique in that it is only suitable for the manufacture of pellets with a high drug loading. It also can be used to produce extended release pellets in certain situations in a single step. It can obviate the need for subsequent film coating. Extrusion spheroidization, to get this done, a variety of extruders are used, which offer there are huge difference in design, features, and operational principles. They are currently in variety of forms. They are available in the market, and they can be classified into three forms: screw-fed, gravity-fed, and ram extruders. Okay. So, in the screw-fed extruders, as the name suggests, they have the screws. They rotate along the horizontal axis. They transport the material horizontally, and product temperature here is controlled during extrusion by jacketed barrels. While in case of gravity-fed extruders, they include the rotary cylinder and rotary gear extruders. In the rotary cylinder extruder, one of the two counter rotating cylinders is they are hollow and perforated. One of the two counter current one cylinder is hollow and perforated. Whereas the other cylinder is solid and acts as a pressure roller. Okay, it is acting as a pressure roller. In the so-called rotary gear extruder, there are two hollow counter rotating gear cylinders with counterbore holes. As you can see in this diagram that in this figure 1, there's if you can see the schematic representation of the screw fed extruder. This is the screw, as you can see here. Okay, and the perforated plate portion is here. This perforation may be in this way or in either way. In a radial, it may be a radial extruder, okay, or it may be axial extruder. So when the screw is moving, okay, the product is discharged from this way, while in the radial way, radially it is the pellets are received. Well, let's take the example of the gravity fed extruder. As the name suggests, there are the two cylinders there. As we can see, one is solid one is having the perforations one, and due to this pressure, the charge is moved from this feed, this the gravity that rotary cylinder extruder. In this rotary cylinder extruder, this product is moved through this another cylinder and obtained from here. While in case of rotary gear, where two gears are there which work together, and the product is obtained with the movement of those gears, and the product is obtained in the form of pellets. So this was all about the you can say the screw fed extruders and the gravity fed extruders. So let me take you to the ram extruders. Ram extruders, there is a piston which displaces and forces the material through a die at the end. It is preferred during formulation development because they are designed to allow for measurement of the rheological properties of formulations. So it's just like a piston moving it there and then delivering the pellets. So again, have a look on the cylindrical extruder. The cylindrical rods are there. So as you can see the cylindrical rods there, cylinders with bounded ends are there. They may be like the dumbbells, then ellipsoids and the spheroids. So these are the shape transition during a spheronization process. So in the spheronization process, they become from cylindrical to the spheroids. Okay, these pellets are obtained in spheroid form. So the smaller figure provides the representation of the ram extruder. Okay, this is the ram extruder. There is a piston there. The movement is coming. The die plate is there. The piston movement occurs here, and we can have the product as pellets with the ram extruder. In continuous of this discussion, formulation components such as fillers, lubricants, and pH modifiers play a very critical role. The granulated mass must be plastic and sufficiently cohesive and self-lubricating. Plastic in nature, okay? We are talking about the rheological term. During this spheronization step, it is essential that the extrudates break an appropriate length and have at a particular length, at an appropriate length and have sufficient surface moisture. Yes, it is utmost desired. Now let me take you to the table which describe the critical factors in extrusion spheronization. As you say that the major factors are with respect to drug substance, formulation, extrusion, and spheronization. With respect to drug substance, the characteristics are particle size distribution, particle shape, and solubility. While with respect to for the extrusion spheronization, with respect to the formulation, the characteristics important are water content, water temperature, excipients type, excipient concentration, excipients particle size, and we can have the significance in terms of plus signs. More number of plus signs is a high significance. Okay, triple plus is high significance, then double plus medium, and single plus is low. Okay, so extrusion, extruder type, extruder speed, extrusion screen size, thickness of the die plate, and then if you talk about the spheronization only, the spheronization that speed, load, time, and friction plate design, these are the major characteristics which we need to consider for the extrusion spheronization. Spherical agglomeration, we are talking that it is a process in which powders, on addition of an appropriate quantity of liquid or when subjected to high temperatures, they are converted to spherical particles. Okay, by continuous rolling or tumbling action, spherical agglomeration can be divided into two categories: liquid induced and melt induced. Two categories: liquid induced and melt induced. These are the two major categories of pelletization. Okay, that spherical agglomeration we are talking about. In the liquid induced agglomeration, liquid is added to the powder before or during the agitation step. As powders come into contact with the liquid phase, they form agglomerates or the nuclei, which initially are bound together by liquid bridges. They are initially by the liquid bridges and then they are replaced subsequently with the solid bridges. The nuclei formed collide with other adjacent nuclei and coalesces to form larger nuclei or pallets. Okay, they are liquid bridges, then solid bridges, then coalescing together and then forming the larger nuclei or the pallets. The coalescence process continues. This coalescence process continues for some time, and then coalescence is replaced by layering, increasing the size of the latter until pelletization is completed. If the surface moisture is not optimum, some particles may undergo nucleation and coalescence at different rates. This can lead to the formation of different size of nuclei admixed with the larger pellets. As a result, spherical agglomeration tend to produce pellets with a wide particle size distribution. So we will have a wide particle size distribution. So different size of nuclei when they are coming together, at least with the larger particles, so particle size distribution may vary. Now moving to the spray drying and congealing method. They are known as globulation process. They involve atomization of hot melts, solutions or suspensions to generate spherical particles or pellets. The droplet size in both the process is kept small to maximum the rate of evaporation on or congealing. Consequently, the particle size of the pellets produced is usually very small. So very small pellet size we get. Now after the previous one, pelletization technique, let me take you to the cryopelletization. As the name suggests, at the lower temperature it is being done. A process whereby droplets of a liquid formulation are converted into solid spherical particles or pellets by using liquid nitrogen as the fixing medium. Now we are using the liquid nitrogen as the fixing medium, and the technology which was initially developed for lyophilization of viscous bacterial suspension, it can be used to produce the drug loaded pellets in liquid nitrogen at that is 160 degrees. Okay. Melt spheronization. It is the process whereby a drug substance and excipients are converted into a molten or semi-molten state. Subsequently, shaped using appropriate equipment to provide the solid phase of pellets. This process requires several pieces of equipment such as blenders, extruders, cutters. They are known as pelletizers in the plastic industry, and spheronizers. That spheronizers are needed. So these are some of the important further readings. I request you to go through these further readings for having an idea of pelletization. We have also discussed the pelletization in the previous lecture, but still we have elaborated this in this lecture. Now let me compile what we have studied. Pellets are the smaller particles, and they are basically agglomerates and prepared with the help of wide variety of methods and equipments. The most common one, booster process, we have studied. Okay, that these are the process. In this process, we can use a variety of methods in the even in the booster booster process. Variety of manufacturing equipments are there, as and other methods including cryopelletization. There's so many advanced methods available. So from exam point of view, please discuss each and every point, their merits, and if possible, do represent the manufacturing equipment along with the discussion of the text. So this will help you to score better, and moreover, when there is a slight difference, you can show the clear-cut difference between the two kind of palletizers or two kind of machines with the help of figures. It would be far better to represent the thing. So for this lecture, this was all about the pelletization, the process of pelletization, and pellets as a dosage form. We will be coming back with more lectures. Thank you for being with us. Happy learning. Dear students, I want to introduce these figures again for you. The figure representation, as you can see here, this is the screw fed, and this is the gravity fed and the gear one. So these are the spheronizers, pelletizers, or you can say spheronizers we can use. And the figures you must know. Please learn these figures and represent the process of spheronization with the help of figures, it would be more fruitful, it would be more effective representation when you are quoting it for your exam point of view, or anywhere you are discussing pelletization process. So these are the figures of the different spheronizers or pelletizers. You please, extruders you can say, these extruders, go through them, learn these figures, and uh, you will get good scores in your exam. Thank you, and thank you for paying attention.